Hi there, I'm Jessica Rose, and today we're going to be talking about how to get your jewellery business featured in magazines. So getting your jewellery business featured in magazines is a brilliant way to increase your exposure, increase the sales in your jewellery business, and increase your recognition and credibility as a jeweller. Not only is it useful to get featured in the magazine so that more people see you and learn about your work, but also it's a great thing to be able to put on your website and on your social media to show that credibility and that recognition. People often flock to things that other people are interested in, so just by having that external force that says, yes, this is a really nice piece of jewellery, we think it's great, that helps with your sales immensely. But we need to make sure that we're ready before we get featured in magazines. There are a number of things that we need to get in place. First of all, it's good to think about the type of press that we actually want. So some examples of this could be to be featured as a maker in a sort of maker's story or feature about your business, where they talk about you and your process and what you do as a jeweller. Another option is product placement, where you get your jewellery featured in a magazine as a specific product that people can go and buy. Or another option is you as an expert, talking about something that you're particularly passionate about that relates to your jewellery. So they're the three main areas that most jewellers will get covered the press in. Once you've identified the type of press you're interested in getting for your business, the next thing we need to look at are what magazines you want to be featured in. Try to be specific about this. Make a list of the magazines you want to be featured in. Go out and buy them, learn all about them, see what features they have. It's a little bit like when you're doing a job interview and you do the research before. You learn all about that specific publication before you get in touch with them and try to pitch an idea to them. So I'm going to show you a few magazines that I've just picked off the shelf this month and give you an idea of how you can research into a magazine and work out which ones are going to be best to pitch to for your business. So the first one is Prima magazine. And when you look at magazines, normally towards the front, you'll have a page with all the contact details of the editors, information like that. So I'll show you that in a second. This one actually has it at the back. So I've opened it up to a feature page. So this page says Prima Loves, and it's got all different products that Prima magazine loves. And you can see that there is some jewellery up here, and we've got some jewellery down here as well. And there's also a little piece here. So there's no reason why your handmade jewellery couldn't be featured in a section like this. They've also got a feature here called How to Wear It. So that's something that they probably do regularly, and they've got fashion, different clothes, but with each outfit they've also got an item of jewellery. So another place where they're going to be looking for jewellery every month to feature. Now they do often feature high street brands in these places, but they do also feature handmade products from time to time. So there's no reason why, if you don't have a good pitch that you put towards a journalist, why they wouldn't choose you for that. Then there's also another feature here on fashion accessories. So it says Little Gems, and there's lots of different gemstone pieces. Again, perfect for jewelers. And this is just a random magazine that I've picked off the shelf. So there's always going to be different features in. But I quite liked this one. This was called Women Like You, and it's actually a jewelry business. I didn't see this in the shop. I just picked it up. And it says, you know, we started our jewellery business with a tenner, two ladies from Cambridge who started their jewellery business. So it just shows how, you know, possible it is to get your business featured in a magazine. They've got a whole page written about them and pieces of their jewellery. And this is more of a lifestyle story. So it's not so much about the products, it's about the person. But you'd be surprised how good they are for gaining engagement and getting new people interested in what you're doing. So that's just one magazine example. Let's look at another couple. So this one is Women and Home magazine. And if we have a look at the first few pages, there's a page here which has all the details of the editors, the writers. So this is a really important page because we need to work out who we want to contact to pitch our story to. So there's a features editor, there is fashion editors. So we work out first of all within the magazine what section we want to get featured in, and we pitch to that section. And it's a really good idea to pitch to just one section at a time, because magazines get quite frustrated when you pitch to multiple departments. Obviously, there's different people working on different projects and they don't want to feature your jewellery in different places. Then the next page, we've got a treat yourself section. So this is one of the features that they do regularly, and they talk about different products that are nice to treat yourself. And of course, handmade jewellery would fit in nicely with that. And then they have the fashion edit, which again is a regular for them. So if you've got jewellery that would fit in with fashion, you know, high-end sort of fashion line, that's the kind of thing they're looking for here. So really try and tailor your jewellery to your pitch. So if you know that your jewellery is quite rustic, organic, that kind of vibe to it, you probably wouldn't pitch to the high-end fashion side. You'd go more down the storyline. Whereas if you've got quite edgy, funky jewellery, then the fashion edit might be the place for you. So again, a feature, not about jewellery this time, but this is a life less throwaway. So they're talking about how to buy less things and enjoy them more. So again, something that handmade jewellery could potentially feature in. So obviously each month they'll have slightly different content, but getting to understand the content really helps when you're doing your pitch, because you can work out, okay, who are they trying to speak to? Who are the journalists trying to speak to with this article? And how can I make their life a little bit easier? So I've got a couple more. There's Marie Claire, which is more of a fashion magazine. So if you're into that side of things, and again, try and find the magazine that suits your brand the most. So again, we've got the contact details. Normally, and it's been the case with these magazines as well, all of the contacts are phone numbers. So we're going to be talking about how to do a pitch over the phone in a minute, because a lot of people don't put their email, and the reason why is because they don't want to be emailed. So we need to find ways to be able to pluck up the courage to make the phone call and pitch our ideas over the phone. Then we have how to build your capsule wardrobe. This is another feature that they've got. Again, it's, you know, lots of different products, fashion, and some jewellery as well. And finally, on this page, we have Marie Claire Goes Shopping. So again, it's looking at things that they like to buy. And of course, it's all to do with fashion, jewellery, beauty products, because that's what Marie Claire is all about. So that's an example from that one. And then just a final little one that I picked up, Country Living. And I picked them up specifically because they have a craft section. So they're specifically interested in featuring crafts every month. And for this month, they had a section on forgotten crafts. And again, you could potentially have your business featured in something like this, where it'd be more talking about you, your process, your tools, materials, how you make it. But that can be a great way to sell your jewellery, because people learn about you, they go on your website, they know more about your brand and your products, and of course then eventually hopefully want to buy from you. So that's another one. So they're just 4 magazines that I've picked off the shelf. Of course you can use any magazines you like, and if you're in a different country you might have completely different magazines as well. But hopefully that shows you the process of how you analyse a magazine, work out what they're about, try and understand their customers so that you can pitch something really nice to them. Another good thing to do when you're working with magazines is to follow the editors on Twitter. So journalists' favourite social media platform is Twitter, and it's a good idea for you to follow them on there, and especially if you can find a particular editor or someone that you're interested in, like the crafts editor of Country Living, for example. That way, if they're looking for something urgent, they'll often put it out on their Twitter feed. And if you're following them and you're up to date with what they're doing, you might be able to grab that opportunity. See if they're looking for submissions anywhere. So journalists have quite a difficult job. They've got to come up with fresh content every week or every month, however often the magazine is published. And they want it to be good. They want it to be engaging. People are paying for it. So we want to help solve that problem. So it's all about making life easy for journalists. And I call this giving them an irresistible offer. So we think about, what is your irresistible offer? It's something that you offer to them that is so easy, makes life so easy for them that they just can't refuse it. They think, okay, brilliant, I'll include that. So some things that contribute towards an irresistible offer are really nice images of your work that look like they would fit in with that particular magazine. So again, look at what the magazine's look and feel is. Is it a lot of lifestyle images? Do they have a lot of images on a white background? And try and give them everything they need to just say yes. Consider their readership. So the magazines are going to be thinking about their readership, their ideal customer, not necessarily yours. So we want to think about who they are and how we can best meet their needs. Another thing to think about are the lead times. So glossy magazines like this tend to have between 6 months to 3 months lead time. So if you're looking at pitching for Christmas, you start doing that in August. If you're looking for Valentine's, then it's October, November. So we need to be ahead of the game with this, giving them images that are relevant to that event well in advance. So I often see on my Facebook a lot of my friends that do jewelry making projects for magazines, and they're saying, I'm making a Christmas themed reindeer, silver reindeer or something, and it's August. It's insane. But it's so important if you want to get into magazines to know their lead times. It's okay to pitch a bit in advance, too early, but you don't want to pitch too late, because then they'll just be saying, sorry, we've already closed that copy, we're not interested. Then, of course, as we've been speaking about beautiful images, you want to have your images in high resolution and low resolution. So if you're pitching to them through email or they ask you to send some images over, send them the low res versions, because nobody wants giant images clogging up their inbox, especially not journalists. I know it's one of their pet hates. So that is one way around it, but they also are going to need high resolution images for actually printing in the magazine. So make sure you have both versions. Another option is to put your images online somewhere, so you can just send them the link, see the images here. That could be a Dropbox or a place on your website where they can find out more about you. Now, samples. They may ask to send samples in so they can take their images themselves. So absolutely, we need to be ready with samples to send them. And whilst we can request to have samples back and hope to have them back, they may not be able to deliver on that. So I know some magazines that say, we'd love to feature your jewellery, you need to send us some samples, we can't guarantee you'll get them back. So that's just a cost we're going to have to accept. So when you send anything as a sample to a magazine, blogger, whoever, don't expect to get it back. You can always, try, include the envelope to return it in, those kind of things, but it's just a cost of the process. The next point is that when we're working with journalists and pitching to magazines, we need to be super responsive. So they have tight deadlines, tight timescales, and lots of other people that they could fill that spot with. And we want to make sure that we get the best opportunity possible. And the way to do that is to try and get back to them as soon as possible. So if they ask for something, being responsive that day, getting the images to them when they need them, any text, if they want an interview, arranging it as soon as they can do it. All of those things make a big difference to them picking you this time and also recommending you for next time. So what I normally suggest to jewelers, and this is how I did it in my business, is picking a period of time when we're going to be focused on gaining press through magazines. So you might pick 6 months in your business where you say, okay, for these 6 months, I'm really going to focus on press. I'm going to be sending out pictures to journalists, and I'm going to be available all the time to get back to people. Then after that period of time, you might take a break and say, okay, now I'm going to focus on my making, my social media, whatever else it is in your business. Because if you're doing this all the time, it can be exhausting, checking your emails constantly throughout the day, things like that. We don't want to be doing that permanently in our business. But if you know that you're on a trail with someone who's a journalist, then being super responsive is so, so important for that period of time. If you wait a day, they might say that they had to go to someone else because they just needed that image, they needed it to go to print. So that's something that we want to avoid, and you can do that by being available and being really on the ball with this. So next up, I want to talk to you about pitching and the actual process of how do we pitch both on the phone and through email. So let's talk about pitching on the phone first of all. So when you pitch on the phone, first of all, try and pick a time of day that you think is going to be most convenient for journalists. So I would say either in the morning or the mid-afternoon, not usually towards the end of the day and not usually towards sort of 10, 11 o'clock. They often have content meetings at that sort of time. So trying to pick a convenient time. Obviously we don't know what's convenient for them, everyone's different. So when you call them, ask them, is now a good time to talk? So we want to make sure, I know another pet hate of journalists, because I've worked with them quite a lot, is they hate it when someone rings up and just assumes that they're available to speak to them. I think all of us can feel that way sometimes in our business. They might be up against a tight deadline. So it's about having empathy with them and understanding that they might not be able to talk right now, and that's fine. They can call us back, or we can call them back a bit later. If they can't talk, try and pin them down on a time when would be good for them, and make sure you actually call them back at that time, because that's going to be really helpful just to get your foot in the door so you can actually start speaking with the journalist. The next thing I would normally do is start with a compliment, something about their feature or their piece in the magazine that you like, that shows them, first of all, you understand what they do, what their job is. If they're the features editor, you love their recent feature on so-and-so. And keep this bit short. Obviously they know that we're slightly sucking up to them, but it's also, it can be the truth. You know, if you enjoyed a feature that you looked at, I love that piece that you wrote about jewellers in your recent Prima magazine, for example. I'm also a handmade jeweller. I've got some really interesting story which I'd love to tell you about. I'd love to send you over some images. Would that be of interest to you? So keep your pitch short and sweet, but also super relevant to them. 9 times out of 10 they'll say we're not looking for anything at the moment, but the great thing would be is if they could keep you on the record and get in touch if they are. Now, a word on following up. It's always good to follow up once, but not more than that. So if we follow up more than once, we can become a bit of a nuisance to people, and nobody wants to do that. But it is so good to follow up at least once. If somebody says that they're interested in what you're pitching, it's fine to ring them back or email them if you have their email address a week, 10 days later, a couple of days, depending on the timescales we're looking at, and just say, I know you said you were kind of interested in this, just following up, would you still be interested to learn more? And that's it. So that's the phone call ones. The email ones are quite similar, but there are some little technical differences. First of all, when you're writing your email title, make sure it's a very compelling headline. So they're going to get millions of emails every day and they won't open half of them. So this point is so important, to be able to get your email just opened. So again, you want to put the headline something descriptive that shows what your email is about. Something that can catch their attention, but not too unusual or quirky language so they don't really understand what it's got inside. And something that's relevant to them, always keeping it relevant. Then we write a sort of press release or story idea or pitch in the title, so they know that this is a pitch, this is a press release, this is a story, so that if they're looking for something, that's when they're going to be opening those types of emails. Get straight to the point. Keep your style informal but informative. So you want to be fairly chatty and informal in what you write, but you want to give them all the information that they need. Consider the time of day that you send your email. So when we were doing a big press run, we'd often send out emails on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So Mondays are often really busy, so people don't get to their emails quite so much. Fridays are a little bit of a half day, you know, it's more relaxed, there's less going on, and it can get lost over the weekend. So Tuesdays was always a really good day, Wednesdays quite good, Thursdays perhaps. And a good time to send your email is before their morning meetings, which again are normally like 10 or 11 o'clock. So sending it early is a good way to make sure that they see it before then. So if they're looking for content to bring to that meeting, they can say, oh, I've just been pitched by this amazing jeweler and I'd love to feature her in this week's style edit, for example. Follow up is the same rule. Follow up again once with a polite reminder within, you know, a recognizable period of time, but not more than that. And come from a place of trying to help. So of course we're trying to get our jewellery out there, sell more work, grow our business. But in this context, it really helps to think about how can I help the journalist who is trying to fill up their content? How can I help the readers? And how can I give value? Because it's that giving value that people are really going to appreciate and enjoy and want to communicate with your brand and buy your products more. Look for a story, make it interesting. So we don't just want to pitch, here's my jewellery, I'd love you to feature it. We want to give them more of a story, something more engaging for their readers. So again, looking back to the Prima example of when I was talking about how they featured two sisters, I think they were, that had started their jewellery business for a tenner. That's a nice story. So thinking of a story and an angle for your press is important. So I know we've covered a lot today, and hopefully all of that has been interesting for you, and hopefully you'll be able to get featured in your magazines now. I know that I've been through this process quite a few times, so it's completely possible, and we've been featured in lots of magazines, Vogue, Marie Claire, and a bunch of other ones, Prima. We've done different interviews, and it's a really fun process to go through. It's nice to watch your business get featured and grow and get that recognition. Obviously, you get lots of no's along with the yeses, so keep at it, don't take it personally, and just keep pitching and keep learning about what it is that people need for their magazines and how you can solve those problems. So good luck with your magazine pitching, and if you would like to grow your jewellery business, I would love to help you with that. Check out our other YouTube videos for more business support and making advice. And for more in-depth courses, head on over to the site at jewellersacademy.com. I'd also love to connect with you, so do find us on social media at Jewellers Academy, and good luck with building your jewellery business. I hope to see you on another video soon. Alrighty, bye for now.